time?
It is time for us to do what we have been doing, and that time is every day.
We'll know in a very short period of time, but it looks like it could be something that will be not good. Believe me, not good.
I see issue with that. And again, hey.
You're not going to be able to insult your way to the presidency. That's not going to happen.
I don't know who created Pokemon Go, but I'm trying to figure out how we get them to have Pokemon go to the polls.
I'm Ted Cruz, and my pronoun is kiss my ass.
So when you think about it, there is great significance to the passage of time in terms of what we need to do to lay these wires, what we need to do to create these jobs.
America is a nation that can be defined in a single word. I was going to
Not good. Believe me, not good.
Hello, dissidents. Welcome, one and all. Should I say welcome back to the Do Dissidents podcast day-night doubleheader today. Keaton Weiss here with Russell Dabular.
Welcome to the Ultra MAGA Comedy Hour.
The Ultra MAGA Comedy Hour. We are getting ready for a make or break press conference. Stakes are very, very high. As we record this, folks, we are awaiting Biden's make or break press conference, but this is going to be clipped as its own video because just before Biden's make or break press conference, he had a press conference with President who? Let's see. He had the task of introducing President Zelensky, since this is NATO summit week in Washington, D.C., and his previous event, which just ended a few minutes ago, seemed to be going well until this.
And now I want to hand it over to the president of Ukraine, who has as much courage as he has determination. Ladies and gentlemen, President Putin. President Putin. He's going to beat President Putin. President Zelensky. I'm so focused on beating Putin, we got to worry about it. Anyway, Mr. President.
I'm better.
You are a hell of a lot
I'm better.
Oh, boy.
Thanks so much.
I am better. I beat moose and squirrel with one hand tied behind back.
You know you have a make or break press conference coming up, and now you've created negative headlines before you've even started it. One more time.
And now I want to hand it over to the president of Ukraine, who has as much courage as he has determination. Ladies and gentlemen, President Putin. President Putin. He's going to beat President Putin. President Zelensky.
Oh, yeah.
I'm so focused on beating Putin.
It's like you're introducing Elie Wiesel at a Holocaust remembrance ceremony. Ladies and gentlemen, Hitler. Let's give it up for Hitler. I meant Elie Wiesel. That's what I meant.
So focused on the Nazi paraphernalia I found in my son's garage. Yeah. I had Hitler on the brain.
I'm sorry. We beat Hitler. That's what I meant to say.
And now I want to hand it over to the president of Ukraine, who has as much courage as he has determination. Ladies and gentlemen, President Putin.
President
Putin. He's going to beat President Putin. President Zelensky. I'm so focused on beating Putin, we got to worry about it.
That's a hell of a way to start out what is a make or break night. Before the real lights are on, because, that was a little speech that he had written and read off the teleprompter, and apparently, from everything I know, it went well enough until that moment there. Coming up, of course, is the big boy press conference, as John Kirby said. This is going to be a big boy press conference, so we'll see how this goes.
Yeah, it's increasingly, you're seeing headlines now. I saw on the Daily Beast that Obama's former aides are sticking the knife in now. They're coming out and saying shit. There was a headline in Rolling Stone that Obama got a heads up from Clooney about that op-ed, and he did not dissuade him from writing it. So, yeah.
This is what I told you. It's going to start out with the rank and file plebes, the Nadlers, and the congressmen who no one's have ever heard of, and, the minor governors like the Healy in Massachusetts. And then the pressure is going to cook up even more amongst higher and higher ranking people. And that's what's happening right now. The Huffington Post top page, crisis. The dam is breaking. A lot of top-ranking Democrats, a lot in Biden's inner circle now, are saying they see the writing on the wall. There's no path for him to win. They need him to withdraw. There are a lot of Democrats who are hoping this press conference goes badly, so that he'll be forced to drop out. I mean,
Right.
if this is a disaster, he could be out by tomorrow. It's not inconceivable.
It really shows you when you consider all of this swirling around the Biden presidency, what kind of a humiliation ritual they uniquely demand from progressives, so-called progressives like AOC and Cory Bush and Bernie Sanders, that they need to go further than Fetterman in order to avoid, I don't know, having their blood drained by Stephen Miller under a full moon. I don't know what you get threatened with as a progressive if you don't do what you're told in these situations. But it's just amazing to have the people who theoretically should be the most likely to dissent, and they're bending the knee the deepest.
But are they doing what they're told by who? It seems like Biden himself and his family are the only ones that want him in. It seems like everybody else wants him out. It seems like the establishment wants him out. So who are they even pleasing?
It's a good question. It's a good question. But why would you so forcefully stick your neck out on this when the establishment is clearly turning? Did they misread it? Did they think that's what they want in order to not be fed to Moloch in the bowels of the Senate sub-basements? Like, what did they come up with that on their own? Because I can't imagine you would debase yourself on behalf of this drooling president without somebody telling you to.
It is quite something, and by the time many of you guys see this clipped version on YouTube, the press conference in question will have already happened. So enjoy this peek into the past. Everybody else, we are going to get ready to go here. I'm just going to share the screen very quickly and then unshare it so that we got what we need here. That should be looking. We are ready when they are. That's how that goes. Got the volume up. Everything's ready to go. He was pretty late according to the YouTube schedule. We're streaming this right from whitehouse.gov. So there's no network claiming exclusive rights. No bullshit. No bullshit. Streaming it off the White House public domain, baby. Jake is in the booth tonight. Round of applause for Jake. Jake is going to be fielding Rumble rants for us. We will be taking...
Jake no more.
That's right.
If the story of Jake's life were a 70s Marvel comic book cover, it would say Skinhead Jake no more.
No more. That's right. He's got the full head of hair now. Grew in quick, just like mine. Just like mine. We are able to take Rumble rants thanks to Jake. We are able to take super chats, of course, and we will be displaying. Oh, there you go. Beautiful. Got a big crowd in here.
We didn't do the thing.
So there's going to be, we are going to be able to take Rumble rants and super chats. So if you got them, send them. They will be displayed just like we display them during State of the Unions and debates. They will be super heckles and Rumble heckles. We are on YouTube tonight. We are in East Berlin. So we will display your super chat unless it's something that'll get us kicked out of East Berlin. Those are the house rules. You know them. But as long as it's kosher, we will post them as super heckles or Rumble heckles. And now we wait. They seem to be late for the last one. So I don't know. Hopefully they're not late for this one. Hopefully they don't dick us around. Let's see if we got any super chats or Rumble rants ready to go.
You know what I'm starting to think about, man? For the Star Wars video, so that I don't have to play the whole game, but we can still monetize it. Maybe we'll just put it on the Rumble side.
Whatever you want.
Maybe we'll just do that.
Okay.
Because they don't give a shit.
Yeah, no, they don't. Well,
you could show the whole Lord of the Rings trilogy. They're not gonna give you a strike.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I mean, it's fine with me. Whatever you want to do. Whatever you want to do. We got 2369 in here between YouTube and Twitter. We also got 815 in the Rumble chat. So hit that like button, hit that follow button, everybody. We are awaiting the presidents of the United States, Justin Trudeau. We are awaiting Trudeau. We'll introduce people to.
Okay, so apparently, I was looking at some of the comments. it seems like, especially for a Canadian audience, there was good reason for it to be understood as an in-joke. Apparently, this is like a well-known thing, like this feud between Trudeau's father. He got Keith Richards arrested in 1977. I guess he had sour grapes about Mick fucking his wife or whatever was going on there. So I guess, according to what I'm seeing people saying, this is something Canadians should have known about.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know where in Canada that
Maybe
concert
it was just that the crowd was young, but my experience of going to Roger Waters concerts is you really don't get a young crowd at these classic rock shows.
I mean, it also could have been a largely American crowd, depending on where in Canada it is. Like if it's in Toronto,
I think it was Toronto. I think it was.
You could get a lot of Americans there, theoretically.
Maybe.
But
it seems like the more I'm reading, the more I'm saying actually they might be right. Like it might be something that for someone Mick Jagger's age would be a very obvious in joke, but maybe at this point, like us, I didn't know about that.
Yeah, I didn't know. I had no idea. And neither did the audience, apparently. It's funny. My family is watching me on the living room TV. I could see myself and you on the TV now. They're watching us. They're fans. Shout out to you guys over in the living room.
Are your kids watching it?
Yeah, they're watching. Should
I limit the F-bombs?
Nah, it's all right.
They don't care?
No, they understand that this is an R-rated movie that they're being allowed into. And, once Biden starts going, I mean, who knows? Who knows what he'll say? Maybe he'll keep it PG-13, although maybe he'll say that he say, I fucked Donald Trump's wife. Oh, boy. Eric Rousseau, F Biden, F Trump, right in Free Palestine. Yes, thank you, Eric. Appreciate that. Clooney will play himself in the movie Biden. Yeah, that's true. It's funny. I put out the Clooney clip today because I figured we should get some of these Biden intrigue clips out today just in case he drops out tomorrow. Then it'll be this morning's show will have been not a waste for those who tuned in live. You guys are the cool kids anyway. But won't get a lot of mileage out of the clips. So I was looking for a picture of George Clooney to use as the thumbnail, and his chin is so big. His head is so big. And he's got such a long chin that it's hard to find a picture that's good for the thumbnail because you want to put text under the thumbnail, and you don't like to put text over someone's face. It looks bad. Biden's easy. Right. He's got a normal chin. That huge chin makes it very hard. He's not conducive to YouTube thumbnails, that guy. All right, where the fuck is this guy? Is this guy going to make us wait now?
Look,
President Breonna Joy Gray. That's what we should call him now.
They're shooting them up with the good stuff, man.
Yeah,
there's the shit they can only use once every 10 years because it's distilled from moon rock. They don't have a lot of it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they must be. They're going to make us wait. I hope they better not make us wait till 7:00. I mean, that's just ridiculous. You need to add some choice Biden in the intro. Yeah, we are going to have to rework the intro a little bit with current quotes because there's just so much. There's so many of them. We have to talk to our contact. We got to talk to. We haven't spoken to him in a while. Yeah, we should get in touch.
Yeah, the vagina cat drop should be in there.
That's good. My wife will like that.
That's one of my favorite.
My wife will like that super chat. She's watching right now. Keaton is pretty good at nailing it. Explains all the children. I'm expecting a look from in the living room right now. I can see where they're watching me from. I hope she thinks so. Hey, look, it's Garland Nixon. Hey, nice to meet you, man.
Hey,
I would love to have
man?
you on sometime. So we'll be in touch. Nice to meet you. Riding with Biden. Yes, there you go. Down with the ship goes Garland Nixon. Shout out to Garland Nixon. I'm sure our fans are fans of yours. Round of applause for Garland.
Yeah, we were on that poster together.
That's right. We share a poster. They actually are printing up print versions. I saw they tweeted out a video of them actually going to print with those. So that'll be a lot of fun.
They're sending me over one of their books. They're published cartoonists.
Yes. All right.
The Zago brothers, for anyone who doesn't know what we're talking about.
There we go. Hey, Jake, in case my page doesn't refresh properly, just refresh the stream. Not our stream, obviously, but the White House stream. every minute or so and just let me know if they're starting, and I'll refresh on my end. That shouldn't make a difference because we have the stream live now, but we just don't want to miss it because you never know what you're going to miss. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. We got another order of business to take care of here.
In the year 2525.
I've been looking at different options for 3,000. You got that Hanson thing. You've got Glover has a song 3005.
Okay.
So it'll probably be one of those two. I'll add.
All right. I dig that. Master Yoda, thanks for the $1. If you thought the debate was bad, you really won't like the swimsuit competition. Yes. This is really
with a Schmendrick swinging it in a girl's bathroom.
Okay, guys, what negative headlines? He's clairvoyant 7 months from now. You're going to see be president of Ukraine because it's going to be Russia. Yeah, there you go. Russell and Keaton are gay for each other. Thank you. Could see it in their eyes. Thank you. All right, let's see here. What else?
It's sick. It's degenerate and sick.
Shady deals. Did you get a chance to see the Jimmy Dore clips yet? I started watching the interview.
When would we get the? Well, I haven't.
Yeah, well, because I have the premium thing, so I started watching it, but and I would have finished it, but I had to cook dinner early because we had to do this, so everything got kind of scrunched in. But I will finish it. For sure.
I am working really hard on that Star Wars video. I'm teaching myself Photoshop to be able to do what I want to do with the video.
There you go.
As soon as we got off the show, I started working on the video.
That's right. He's showing me some stuff from it. It looks good so far. Why is Joe doing this after his 4 p.m. bedtime? That's true. This is late for him. This is after hours. Joe Biden, prime time, baby. They're probably going to start at 7. You know, they say this is. See, I can never. I mean, I wouldn't vote for Joe Biden anyway, but especially after this, I can't stand lateness. That's a pet peeve of mine. It's a pet peeve of mine.
He was getting annoyed with me before because I brewed some coffee.
Well, I was just saying log in so I could start the countdown, and then brew the coffee.
I know.
Yeah, there you go. But yeah, all's well that ends well. We all made it. We had time. I wanted to make sure we did our segment. I wanted to get this in the can before we started.
I want to hand it over to the president of Ukraine, who has as much courage as he has determination. Ladies and gentlemen, President Putin. President Putin.
They're probably. President Putin. Whoa.
Oh, God damn it. You're fighting for your political life, Joe. Don't call him President Putin.
Don't call him President Putin. Oh, boy.
Yeah, I was watching apparently The Daily Show, not Jon Stewart, one of the black hosts that they have, polled 6 black people. And I don't know if they knew going in. I guess they did for the bit. They must have, because you would have needed some Trump supporters, but half of them supported Trump. And, he was doing like a discussion with them. And so then he starts showing clips of things that Donald Trump said that are, questionable in terms of racial connotations. Like, I forgot about this one. Yeah, the lights are on in here. I can only see the black people. But okay, so these are the worst clips you could find of Donald Trump, because I assumed going in there'd be worse stuff than that, because none of what they showed held a candle to clips you could pull of Joe Biden. He's going to put you back in chains.
Right.
I don't want my kids growing up in a racial jungle. You can't find anything Donald Trump said that stacks up to Joe Biden's statements over the years. But that's why these kinds of shows have really lost most of the public, because they know that people are not as stupid as rumored.
Yeah, and that put you back in chains comment, that was in reference to Mitt Romney.
And to
right?
Mitt
That was
Romney,
when they were running for re-election.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's going to put you back in chains. Hey, if you did a show where you showed that to Trump voting black people and then you showed those things to Biden, but fair enough. That would be interesting. That would get very good ratings, but they would never do it.
Yes, that is true. My real name, thanks for the $5. I had a joke I was going to Rumble Rant you, but I forgot it. No worries, my real name.
We'll take your money.
We'll take it. If you remember it, send it over. Let's see. Biden is so old, his empty fossilized scrotum sack can be used to serve Moscow mules. It's a good one, Mack Truck. Thank you. Very creative. Vivid imagery there. Let's see. Yes, I'm still voting for Biden, says J.K. Michael, because a genocidal, crapping corpse with dementia and possible hallucinations is better than a president who did not start any wars. Thank you, J.K. Michael. Dr. Octagon, Cool Keith 3000. All right, there you go. We are coming up on 3,000. We're gonna need some of that. We are up at 29.95 between YouTube and Twitter. We got a big crowd in here. We're all waiting on Joe Biden. This is now the second out of 3 of our most recent guests have now ghosted us. 2 out of 3. Ian Puttick is the only guy who shows up on time around here anymore. That's why we love Ian Puttick.
Hang on, who's the second?
Well, Brianna.
Yeah, Brianna was 1.
And now Biden. He's the second out of our last 3.
He's the second. He's the second.
Ian was our third who showed up on time. That's why I said
he showed up.
Yes.
He showed
Ian
up.
Puttick is the only reliable guest now. He's the only one.
That's
He's
it. We're just going to book him for every show.
Yeah, that's right. He's our only guest now. Nobody else is allowed on the show.
Did you see he posted shopping for eggs?
I did. I didn't get a chance to watch the video yet, but I saw he tagged us in it.
I gotta say, I understand it. It weirds me out. It would be like seeing, oh yes, over here you don't refrigerate milk.
Right.
Know what I mean? You're like, do I want to drink milk that hasn't been in a refrigerator? You're just psychologically conditioned. Like eggs should not be warm.
That's right. That's right. Let's see here. Biden's eyes in the Dark Brandon meme, says AD, remind me of the red error lights you might see on an appliance right before it shits the bed. Yes. It's like the printer error light, the orange light that blinks on my printer when it does not connect properly. Bianca Jagger used to date Daddy Pierre Trudeau.
Oh,
is that right?
So this is like a whole key party kind of deal.
Yeah, it's a whole.
It's like everybody was fucking everybody.
Exactly, very strange arrangement over there.
Michelle Phillips was the unicorn in that group.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see. This shit got pushed to 7 Eastern. Did they formally push it to 7 Eastern, Judge? Is that what they did? Did they push it to 7? Because he was late on the other one. Let me see. Did they fucking push this to 7 Eastern? Unbelievable. Just unbelievable. You know, it's such disrespect. How you see? This is why. See, I must not be a typical person, because if the American people were like me, and you made them wait a half an hour, you would lose the election right there. You may as well drop out. If you're gonna tell me to be in front of my TV to watch you at 6:30, and you change it to 7 after I'm already seated, I would not vote for you anyway. I mean, the balls to do that. It's a horrible thing he's doing.
They got the new episode of The Boys is on. I want to see if the 2 men are going to stop again in this episode like the last one. It got very woke, but it's turning me on.
Trump should say, it's a horrible thing he's doing. He's making you wait. He doesn't respect
terrible.
you. It's a sign of disrespect.
It's terrible. He does it. This is why I won't play golf with him. He's not. I don't wait for tea time.
No, I don't wait for that. I don't hold tea time.
That's it.
I don't hold for tea time.
Is when we called it.
I'm a busy man. I have things to do. Don't make me wait a half an hour. I'm not waiting. Why should I wait for you? Why should anybody wait for you?
This was the same with the interview. Although ABC only on that end it was them. They made you wait a half hour.
Well, they had already taped that one. This is live without a net, and I knew this was going to happen because he was late for the other one where he called Zelensky Putin. He showed up late. He was late for that one. They had that stream on YouTube going for like an hour and 20 minutes before he finally showed up, and so.
I'm telling you, man, they're giving them those good China white suppositories today.
They got to be giving them something now, especially after that Putin gaffe. Who knows? Maybe they're drafting a concession. Maybe it'll just go. They're like, you know what? After the Putin thing,
a processor, a learning computer.
After the Putin thing, what's the point? Right? Let's just quit. Let's just give up.
It's over.
That's
it's
it.
over.
It's over. You blew it before we even started.
I mean, it would be pretty funny if what he does is go out there and abdicate the presidency.
Yeah, that would be great. If he just says, you know what, never mind, I'm not taking questions. I quit. That's it. Goodbye.
It's come to my attention RFK is not the only one with brain worms in this race.
Yes, indeed. Biden expected to speak soon, says the AP. I got a backup stream going here. All right. Here we go. All right. Declaring independence. Where are the fellow big boys? What do you mean? This is Jose Vega, by the way. Watching
What's
us
up,
right
Jose?
now. Hey, Jose, aren't you doing a Twitter space in probably 10 minutes, right? But thanks for stopping in beforehand. Where are the fellow big boys? What do you mean the fellow big boys? You mean Joe Biden and company, or us? We are the big boys. That's us. Hey, you saw me on TV? Oh, he wants to be. Now, see, if you look out there, now you're going to be on the screen in a second. He saw me on TV. He wanted to be on TV. This is my guy Sawyer, dressed as Buzz Lightyear. Is Beck going to come on too? Are you guys? Beck is going to the
Hey, Sawyer, we're looking for a co-host when your dad's off.
You want to hear
Maybe
Russell?
you could.
You want to put that in your ear? Can you hear him? Go ahead, talk.
Hey, we're looking for a co-host after the baby comes. Maybe you could sit in with me, huh?
You want to sit in and host the show when I'm taking care of Augie? There you go.
Are you naming the kid Augie, like the dog in Garfield?
Oh yeah, I think I just revealed the name. Yeah, we're gonna name him August and call him Augie. We
August?
like yeah.
How about I mean just go full Roman Empire and call him Augustus.
Well, I thought of Augusto. That might be good. But yeah, it's gonna be August. He says hi. You want to say hi? We're waiting for the show to start. We got cheese? He's got cheddar cheese. Yeah, now Beckett sees you on the TV. Now he's on TV. You see you're on the TV in there? That's pretty cool, huh? Jonas Brothers Year 3000 Theater in the Fire.
Spend time with your family. A man who doesn't spend time with his family can never be a real man.
All right. Just don't touch the microphone, all right?
Okay.
All right? Because then that might be too loud. Okay? I might be doing shows with my new guy on my lap at some point. So this is good practice. He said,
they say never to. W.C. Fields, a great man. He was the 28th president. He said, never act with children and animals.
I know.
I want to put some of that in my ear.
You want to put one of these in your ear? Yeah. Here. You want to hear that? Here. There you are. There he is. Do you hear Russell talk? Go ahead, say something.
So we did an interesting segment about an article from The Economist earlier. I want your dad to be very careful.
Yes.
But you don't want to go to those public schools these days, kid.
Yeah, he is. He's starting kindergarten. We're taking our chances.
Yeah. So I was going to ask you if you decided to send them to public school.
Yeah, we're gonna send them to public kindergarten, and then we'll see. We'll see. I like the idea of homeschooling. It sounds like a fun thing to do. Oh, so yeah, someone knows Augie Doggy. I told Amanda about that. The Hanna-Barbera cartoon, Augie Doggy Doggy Daddy. That I used to watch that one.
Wasn't that the name of the dog on Garfield too?
Maybe. I'm not
Am
sure.
I wrong about that? All right, tell us in the chat. Was that the name of the dog in Garfield? People definitely. I believe so.
I know you're hearing a delay.
So. See, yeah, they're saying Augustus, Augustine.
Right, I think he's coming up. All right.
Can't just call him
Go
August.
watch it on the TV because I'm gonna have to do the show. Okay. All right, thanks, bud. I think he's coming up.
Opie, that was the dog on Garfield. Odie? Oh no, Odie. Yeah, it wasn't Opie, it was Odie.
All right, they're getting ready. I see them getting ready on the AP feed, doing a mic test. So nothing's on the YouTube White House channel. But yeah, we figured August. Well, we were just like spitballing names, and we thought Augie. That was what one of Amanda's work friends suggested, and then they liked it. My guys really liked the name, so they just started calling him Augie. They wouldn't call him the baby anymore. They just started calling him that. So they pretty much named him. When he asked how he got his name, we're gonna say we floated it, we liked it, but then your brothers just started calling you that anyway. So we're like, it'll be too confusing for them if we switch his name now.
Well, if you name him Augusto, I think in Freakonomics he said children who are named Augusto, 92% of them become trapeze artists.
Yeah, Yeah, that could be something.
And 71% develop the ability to juggle.
I noticed somebody in the chat said August Wilson. Yeah, we did have that in mind because Sawyer is obviously a literary name. So is Beckett, Samuel Beckett, and then August Wilson's a great playwright. So we figured that kind of fit. So that seems to be the name. All right, we got.
If you're going to appropriate from the best.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, obviously. August Wilson, got to, right? All right, you want to say hello? This is my other guy. This is Beckett. You were feeling left out?
So what? You keep their hair different so you know who's who?
No, he just likes long hair. He has to keep it long. Don't touch that because that'll get too loud. No. I said don't touch that. All right. He's getting unruly.
He's getting
right.
obstreperous.
Sawyer, don't go that way. Stay on this side. All right. Yeah, you can't go that way. All right, they are testing the stuff out. Looks like they're getting ready to go. All right, guys, go watch me on the TV in there, okay? All right. I know. It's a little weird. Beckett, can you close the door, please? Beckett. See, now when you need them to do something, they don't answer.
You just wait.
Yeah.
Just wait until
they want to hang out. They want to hang out.
Just wait until they're stealing money out of your wallet for drugs.
Beckett. I need you to Beckett. You don't have to pause it. I'm right here. Well, pause it. You're not gonna miss anything. I'm talking right now. Just close that door, please, on your way out. Thank you. Thanks, bud. All right. There we go. See what this is? See what this is?
Those kids are deeply unserious.
They're counter-revolutionary.
They really are. You can see their reactionary just by the way he grabbed that mic.
Yeah. There we go. All right. Yep. So they're still walking around on stage, still busy work. I think they are probably going to bring them on at 7. Coming up next, Biden expected to speak. We got a lot of super chats coming in here. Like I said, we will read super chats. We'll put them up as super heckles during the conference. Riding with the I'm serious, no joke guy, the Biden. Come on with Biden, Yes. This could be his final. This could be the end of the road for Joe Biden. This could be it. He could be out tomorrow if he bombs this. He should probably just go out in a fucking blaze of glory and just totally shit the bed. Just go out. Just go total Bulworth now, and then just drop out. That'd be the way to go out in style. Thank you, Sergio.
And one more thing, Barack, if you're listening, you weren't all that articulate, and you weren't very clean.
Yeah, exactly. Just go out and just fuck it. Just light it all up. Here's the deal, Jack. The Donald Duck, no Ronald Trump. He's a bad boy. Hates our kleptocracy, man. Vote for Joe to do the thing, There we go.
They're backstage demanding that the doctor give him more drugs.
I'm giving her all she's got, Captain. If I push it any harder, the whole thing will blow.
There we go. Speaking high stakes NATO press conference tonight. All right, we're still waiting. Still got nothing here. Rules said no prompter, but what about a sneak earbud? Well, they're going to be, apparently this is going to be spontaneous questions. This is also, the one thing you have to think about going into this, too, that differentiates this from every other press conference that I could think of is the press are coming in hostile. The press are coming in trying to get him out. Like, the press clearly wants him out. Yeah. The media is not on his side. Most of the time when a Democratic politician gives a press conference, it's softballs from a press that is friendly to them. Now the press wants him out. They also feel...
Oh, my God. Can you imagine Kamala against Trump? Oh, God. We have to make it happen.
Well, yeah. They also... From reports, they also feel pissed off that they were kept out of the loop about his health, and that's been reported today too. That a lot of media people and people in his inner circle. I don't think you can blame others for your own retardation. Yeah. If you did not know this about Joe Biden, maybe you shouldn't be a fucking reporter. Well, they're talking about specific details like the Parkinson's doctor and shit like this, and the stonewalling. Don't start now. Don't start now. Yeah, you were all covering for him until 5 minutes ago. Don't start the Casablanca number. I had no idea there was gambling going on in this establishment. You all knew. You all played along until you couldn't. Yeah, until it was all revealed at once. Joe needs to drink a glass of water on stage so we know this isn't a hologram and hold up today's paper so we know this isn't taped. They got to send him out there with props. Thanks, Max D. The look on Biden's face after calling Z Putin is funny in itself. Yes, it is. Yeah. Absolutely. If he passes out live and just... What?
Add dolls
the hell over. I'll donate $100. All right, well,
falls over.
We'll hope for that, I guess. We have an interest in that now. Thank you. Good luck, guys. Showing some love from NYC. Thank you very much, Lee. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. Keaton, are you saying you'd never vote for always late Jimmy Dore? Yeah, no. If you're late, I wouldn't vote for you. Sorry to say that.
We wouldn't wish elected office on our friend Jimmy Dore.
couldn't vote. No, this is. I mean, to push it back from 6:30 to 7 after they already said it is just crazy. But yeah, no. If I'm gonna vote for someone, they have to be on time every time. Punctuality is my pet peeve too, Keaton. Thank you. See, I'm not alone. Jenna Tills, aspirational 86735309. Yes, you've recommended that before, I think. Jenny Soundrop Cowards.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, come on. Nobody does those numbers.
8.5 million. No one does those
nobody
numbers.
Does that.
You can't
Nobody
do those
does that.
numbers. It's impossible. Even the president's not doing those numbers.
President Xi's speeches don't get those kinds of numbers. Yeah, he's got a billion and a half people over there.
Yeah. Expected to slur soon, I think. Yes, I got the AP and the White House feed. It must be at 7. He must be coming on right at 7. At this point, that's what must be the deal here. Okay, we got my real name. Thanks for the $5. President Putin couldn't be worse than giant douche and turd sandwich. That South Park episode really stood the test of time. That's like a reference now that everyone knows. That was from 2004, too.
Yeah, I didn't realize that was that old.
Yeah, it's 20 years old by now. Andre 3000 and Bombs Over Baghdad should be the 3000 song. Yeah, I thought of something by Andre 3000. That's a good idea. Not bad. Snoop Sean Hillary 2024. He should come out with her and pass the baton to her. That would be something. Sawyer for president. Thanks, my real name. There you go. Appreciate that. Okay, what do we got here? Still waiting. One more minute, hopefully. Hopefully he's out soon. Matt Clark, thanks for the $4.99. I'm scared for Biden at this point, and I am a Trump voter. Just cruelty by his family at this point. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say I'm sad for him. The way I feel is the way, I've talked about this in the past. I don't really feel bad for him, but at the same time, like, I'm more angry at Blinken and Sullivan and the people really running the government than I am at him at this point. I mean, he just called Zelensky Putin, and that's not a stutter. He didn't stutter. He wasn't lost for a word there. That was just a slip up. I mean, this is incredibly, assuming he wants to stay in, which I'm assuming he does. This is an incredibly high pressure situation right now. This is about as high stakes a press conference in recent political history. I can't really think of anything more high stakes.
What's the over under on how long he goes? 20 minutes, right? 20 minutes.
I think 20 is probably fair. I would place it at a little longer just because he's going to get a ton of questions and he's not going to want to look like he's ducking. I'll place the over under 27.5. How's that?
27.5.
27.5.
You're good at this. So.
I am good at this. I say it goes slightly over. I say it goes about a half an hour. That'd be my guess. It's tough to say. I think a lot of it depends on how it goes too. Like I think this could be like a situation, where who was the guy who talked about the Tyson fight, over in 90 seconds? One of the guys said that. One of the commentators. Right. It could be one of those things where if they realize within a few minutes he's cooked, they might not bother asking him everything they want to.
Okay, thank you very much, everybody. Thank you. Right. Try the shrimp.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. If he goes down in the first round, it might be over pretty quickly. JM, thanks for the $2. Appreciate that. Shout out for Sawyer Lightyear. Thank you, all hap. Appreciate that. Tusker says this is adorable. Thank you, Tusker. Appreciate that. Nice wholesome super chat there. Biden got Putin on his mind. Did y'all see the slip up? Yes, we covered it. We covered it right at the top. We came in and covered that. We came in and put that right in the can, like pros. Like the professionals we are. All right, now it's 7:01.
Yeah,
Right,
kind of professionals who always show up when we're supposed to.
Biden just texted me. He said, I'm getting in a car right now, and I should be able to log on for this press conference soon. So if you want to hang out, I mean, what are you guys doing? What should I say? Thanks, Mr. President. We're going to go to the Q&A, though. I think we're going to just go right to the Q&A.
Yeah, let's just bypass this whole fucking nightmare.
Yeah.
No, there is nothing to tell people that you should still be the president than not showing up on time by a considerable amount of time for your make or break press conference.
Showing up a half an hour late. Well, I think they delayed this an hour. I think it was supposed to be even earlier, and then they pushed it back because I got an alert on my phone, Biden's press conference delayed, and I thought, oh shit. I'm like, what do you mean delayed? Meaning it's not happening today? Or they can't push it back a whole day. That's a nightmare. Especially Friday, unless you're trying to bury it, you put it on Friday night when people are less likely to watch. But then they said, no, it's going to be at 6:30. And here we are at 7. No Biden. No show.
Are they just going to cancel this?
No.
That would be amazing. That would be amazing. The president has a cold.
Yeah, he's got a cold. He's feeling a little under the weather. His Highness, lucky for that kid, he got his mom's looks. Bah ha ha ha, Keaton, that's what you get for not doing His Highness Karen Uber story. Take care of you later, Russ. Taps fist. We'll probably do that for the patrons. We had so much stuff.
There was just so much going on this week.
There was just so much. Yeah. Keaton's dad vibes are impeccable, says Noah Goop. Best wishes with August, man. Thank you. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Thank you, Noah. Let's see here. This is where we find out that Biden has been impersonated by Kevin Kline, like in the 1993 movie Dave. Yeah, they could just send out a body double. What are they going to do?
I saw Kevin Kline live in a show that has a lot of parallels to what's probably going to be happening tonight. Cyrano. I saw him live in Cyrano. Yes.
Yeah, he does a lot of theater. A lot of Shakespeare.
Oh yeah, no, he's a real actor.
Oh yeah, no, that guy's got craft. That guy's got chops. Love the show. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, Anthony.
Actually, seeing that was part of, in addition to seeing the RSC do Shakespeare, led me to a conclusion that really upsets a lot of actors when I tell them this. If you haven't been properly trained in performing in classical theater, you shouldn't do it. You don't know what you're doing. You can't. It's like thinking because you're a musician, you could play any instrument. No.
Right.
It's a very specific instrument. You need to learn how to handle that language, because what usually happens when you're watching these American actors with a BA do Shakespeare is, unless you're familiar with it, you don't understand what the hell they're talking about. If you watch people who are actually trained, it's very clear exactly what they're talking about because they know how to convey it. But it's not intuitive. It's not something you can method actor your way through.
Right. No, for sure. It's its own skill set, no doubt about that. The People Infinite. Hey, Keaton, Freddie Highmore called. He wants your son's whole deal back. That's true. It does look a little like Freddie Highmore. No offense, he's a great actor. Congrats on the new kid. KU boys are the best. Thank you, People Infinite. Appreciate that. Be a nice surprise if he announces he's stepping down. Be a nice surprise at this point if he shows up. That would be fun, huh? If we'd actually have a show to do. 7:05. Yeah. Showing up this late to such a high stakes event, not good. Believe me, not good.
Hang on, that wasn't the one I meant to grab.
Yeah, I know. It's moving very fast now. It's 4,000.
It's moving fast.
We're up to 4,000 in the chat. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button while you're here. If this is your first time here, hit that subscribe button.
Yeah, that's the one. All right, so I have a funny story about that. So when I was getting my BA in theater, they showed us a production of Oedipus from the 50s. And, there's a Greek chorus, obviously, in Oedipus. And so at the end, over the credits, the Greek chorus is yelling, Oedipus, Oedipus. And you just heard this one voice out of 20 Greek chorus, Oedipus, Oedipus. And me and the girl next to me, we looked at each other. We were like, Shatner? Is that?
Oh,
and
here he is.
Sure enough, that was William Shatner. in the Greek chorus. So it just shows anyone from anywhere can be the captain of the Enterprise if you work hard enough and do enough bad theater.
Let's see. We're still at We Will Begin Shortly. On the AP has a video feed going, but the WhiteHouse.gov does not. I want to use the White House feed so that we don't get it fucking throttled by some fucking douche. But you never know which one of these douchebag outlets has it copyright protected. We know the White House doesn't. That's illegal.
Yes.
It would be a nice surprise if he announces stepping down. Yes, that would be a nice surprise. That would be something. How bad is this going to be? We shall see. We shall see, Lee. Let's see. Here we go. Well, what do we got here? We're volume. We're all systems go over here. Let's go to Amadeus. How much money to be Rick and Morty? Didn't somebody disguise us as Rick and Morty in a meme once? Was that Rick and Morty, the cartoon meme? Remember way back, someone did a meme of us. I think that was Rick and Morty. I could be wrong. But I think it was.
I do not remember that.
Did you guys catch a video of Matthew Miller getting called out for smirking over the Gaza death count? Yes, that was by, was that Husseini that called him out for that? I think it was.
I did not see that.
I've stepped in more poop than Genocide Joe and Wookie Goldberg combined. Thank you, Colorado Watch. Appreciate that. All right. The press is filing in. It seems like people are now taking their seats. Yeah, there's like basically an empty press room.
So what are you seeing this on network TV?
I'm just seeing this on the AP. So there they are.
I see.
So yeah, it doesn't seem like a very full room yet, but now they seem to be taking their seats. So now they must know that he's on his way in. Because now the chairs are starting to fill up. Okay. Beautiful. Yeah, they're filing in now, so it should be just a few minutes, I would think, at this point. But folks, hey, hit that subscribe button while you're here. If this is your first time here, we do a wonderful show. Normally, if it's Kamala, read Caleb Malpin's book.
What are you saying about this live stream?
Just saying, so far we've just all build up.
You see what happens, Larry, when you fuck a stranger in the ass.
All right, let's see. Yep, they're filing in. I'm surprised the room is not more full. Let's see here. 666-5309 is the number of the beast. Here we go. We are at 41. We're actually we're not that far off from a 666 drop, actually, folks. We're at 4191 in the YouTube and Twitter. And then we're at 1416. So we're at about 5,500. So we need a little over 1,000 more. We can get there.
I didn't expect that because somebody made us a special drop. I downloaded it that says 6666.
There you go. All right. Everybody seems to be filing in. For the cute, kinder Punham. Thank you, Mark. All right. We are still at Begin Shortly over here on the WhiteHouse.gov. Amadeus. Putin a few months too early, Joe. Yes. New Loki song, Genocide Joe. Very good. Yeah, I haven't heard that yet. My dad told me about that, I think yesterday or the day before. I think Tuesday he did. But yes, I do want to listen to that. Do want to give that a listen for sure.
Yeah, that's somebody we got to invite on.
Yeah, that would be great. The judge says he's going to announce he's dropping out. Let's see. I think he might have one more Hail Mary in him.
This, seriously, you are trying to convey that you don't need to shoot him up before you put him on stage, and you're going to start 45 minutes late. They're 40 minutes late now.
Yeah, they're 40 minutes late. Now it seems like the press has taken their seats. There's not a lot of shuffling around. There's a little bit of people taking their seats in the room. If this presser gets canceled, Biden will announce he's dropping out in the coming days. It's not going to get canceled. He'll be there. He comes out just looking like an orange. He comes out just spray tanned, blonde hair, everything. I mean, it really is. What an amazing time. What is it? May you live in interesting times, right?
Yeah. It's just becoming more and more farcical.
Yeah.
The whole American thing is becoming more and more like a comedy movie from 1995, where the premises would have been outrageous and funny, and well, that could never happen.
Why would you even schedule it right in back of the other press conference if you know you're going to have to take time to recoup and reload and nap and brush teeth again or whatever?
Shoot them up again.
Like, yeah, like why not just leave a few hours?
They're running out of places between his toes where they haven't stuck a needle.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Like what? Like why would you schedule these things so close to each other? I understand why they wouldn't want it in prime time if they didn't want to maximize viewership. But now it is in prime time. Now we're past 7 o'clock, and now it's past 7 o'clock. Man, we gotta get this going, man. Come on, gonna miss Wheel of Fortune, man.
No
All right,
joke.
I gotta go. He'll come out for 10 minutes and then say, I think, what is it? What Wheel of Fortune is 7:30, right? He'll say he has to go watch Wheel of Fortune. Or they'll push it back to 8. The president is watching Wheel of Fortune.
Murder, She Wrote is on at 7:30. I gotta go.
Exactly. I haven't seen this one in a while.
The good thing about dementia is I can watch the whole series again like it's the first time.
Yeah, exactly. The reruns never get old. Would love to hear one of those reporters ask Biden what the largest archipelago of the Aleutian chain is, and then watch his face. It'd be funny. That would be good. Some difficult trivia. All right, they're waiting now. Now it looks like they're just about ready to bring him in. Breaking: Biden drops out and endorses Trump. Thanks, Gangrene Thumb. It was originally set for 5:30. Let's go, Brandon.
Hilarious.
That's right. Yeah, okay. So it was 5:30. It was 5:30. I knew they pushed it back. Well, because they were late for the other one. He wasn't even done with the other one, the Putin press conference. He didn't even end that one. He didn't even start that one until 5:30. Yeah, exactly. He says Putin is going to run in his place. Yeah. Let's do this, Leroy Jenkins. Thank you, Captain Lou. Appreciate that. Oh, look at that. You didn't have to do that. Declaring independence. Push my space back just to watch this stream. Well, how nice. How kind. That's loyalty. Thank you, my friend. Prefer to clown on Biden or Harris next 4 months? I mean, look, for me, it's about pride. It's about being right. I just want him out so that my prediction is correct. No, I mean, look, Kamala versus Trump, that's a hilarious election. The Biden thing is funny too, but I feel like that's run its course. You know, Kamala would give you a whole new angle, just a lot of new material there.
Yeah,
come on, that's the most hilarious. I mean, didn't we even say Kamala versus Trump would be like the funniest election ever?
As
and we didn't think we would get it.
I feel like we're in a very heads we win, tails you lose kind of position.
Yeah.
There is no way this could go that is not good for us.
Yes.
What's bad for the country is very good for people in this space.
Yeah, right, exactly. The last thing you want is for things to go well for the country.
That's it. So
yeah, that's horrible.
Biden, Kamala, Trump, it's all good. It's all good. That all works for the production.
That's right. It all works. Sounds like they're lower shades Biden some time. Am I right? Oh, keep up the good work. Thank you, sirloin of beef. I like your I like your pun there too, sirloin of beef.
I shouldn't even say this on the air. We'll never hear the end of it. I hate puns.
Now you're invited.
Puns
now you're
are
welcome.
it's like a knife in my heart.
Now you're bringing it on yourself. Now people are going to know that. They're going to troll you with puns. Troll you with dad jokes.
I know. As soon as I start saying it, I was like, stop talking. You're going to get puns forever now.
We are at 4554 in the YouTube chat, 1519. So we are within 500, 600 of the 666 drop. We are over 6,000 now between the 2 or 3 platforms, should I say. All right, the press is in their seats. There is no more shuffling about in the room. So this has to be just about ready to get started. Almost an hour late from where they rescheduled it. They rescheduled it from 5:30 to 6:30. All right, now the camera's moving in. The camera's panning in. Let's see. Are we going to get a feed on the YouTube Jake, can you just monitor the AP feed and let us know if we're missing anything? I don't think we are. I mean, they gotta update the White House feed. But just in case. Let's see here. Yep. So all right, Jake is monitoring the alternate feed. Round of applause for Jake doing his job so well tonight. I didn't even know Jake was going to show up and help us with this one.
Yeah, did I? I was a little surprised to see.
It's great job by Jake the man. Well, it's a good thing he did because he got all these Rumble rants.
All right, I put in the new sound drop. Hopefully that's going to work.
All
right. You let me know if we hit it.
Okay. Looks like they're about to dust off the Russia did it playbook and try to convince people their eyes and common sense are being manipulated by generative AI. Do you actually see this working? No. My prediction was he would be out either end of this week or early mid next week. And I got to say, that's looking pretty good. Looking pretty good. We will see. Let's see. Agitas, Putin delivering speech now at BRICS Forum in St. Petersburg. Title role of parliaments in strengthening multilateralism for just global development and security. Just global development and security. Can't imagine Biden even saying that.
Biden wouldn't even know what all those words mean.
Where is he at now? St. Peter? What time is it there now? It's got to be the wee hours of the morning. You sure that's going on right now? It's got to be pretty late. Then again, Putin has that round-the-clock stamina that Biden doesn't. I wonder if Biden told Hunter to get him some nose candy to prepare for this presser. Something's going on, man. Something's going on. They really, I mean, it really is just a comedy of errors that you'd be this late when you know it. The thing on everyone's mind is like, do you have your shit together? And you know there's speculation. What do they shoot you up with to get you ready for these things? Carter Chomsky 2024. Yeah, there you go. Thank you. All right, we got plenty more super chats. When this starts up, we will display these as super heckles. Where are you, fat? Yeah, that's a good question. Where are you? Now it's past 7:15. He's almost an hour late. We've been on the air for almost an hour. Wow. Almost an hour. We thought we were going to get to squeeze in that one segment and then go right in. Here we are waiting almost an hour. Wow. He's really making us work hard.
Hardest working men in show business.
Hardest working men in show business, absolutely. Bad Shakespeare actors act as hard as they can. Thank you.
I am telling you, man. If you want to make sure I don't come to your show, tell me that you're doing Shakespeare. I promise I'm not going to be there. I will not do it. Unless, I mean, if you're a real trained Shakespearean actor, but not many of the actors doing it are. Not in America.
We are at 6,299 between all platforms. Looking like we are on our way to 6666. We are awaiting the President of the United States, everybody, for those who are here. Hit that subscribe button. That's what it's all about. So, we got almost 5,000 of you here. If this is your first time here and you have not hit the subscribe button, please do it. If it turns out you don't like us by the end of the night, you could always unsubscribe. But hit the subscribe button for now.
So if we do this theater festival thing we're talking about doing over the winter, one of my passion projects has been Mad Mac. I want to do a post-apocalyptic Macbeth.
All right, did you watch my one act that I sent you?
No.
You should watch it.
That's the one that's going to get us kicked off YouTube, right?
Yeah. Well, no, it's on YouTube now. It just isn't on the list.
Oh, it's on YouTube?
Yeah.
I thought it was like a 9. It's like a 9/11. Oh.
Yeah. But the AI would have caught it if they objected to it.
Yeah,
best regards from Brisbane. Great job. Thank you. Russell, what do you think of DiCaprio in Romeo and Juliet? There you go. That's a nice. That'll pass the time.
You don't have to be able to act to be an actor in movies. You really don't. That's why you ever hear a story of, oh yeah, that Shakespearean actor, they found her working at a perfume counter. You never hear that, right? Because film, it's a director's medium. And you can film again and again and again and again and again until you get the take you want. And you can also frame things in a way that it just presents the performance in the best possible light. So, yeah, I mean, he's fine Throw him on a stage doing that, see how he does. I very much doubt he could handle it.
Yeah. I don't even remember that. That was the Baz Luhrmann one, right?
Yeah, it was all right. It was all right. But that, because you could do it in a movie, doesn't mean Mel Gibson's Hamlet wasn't bad.
It was very good, actually. Yeah.
Doesn't mean Mel Gibson could do that on a Broadway stage for a couple of months.
Right. True. But yeah, that was a good Hamlet, actually. Anyone else notice the Biden who calls into Morning Joe on MSNBC is a bit too sharp and witty? No. I'm saying they have a body double for sure, maybe 3 or 4 extra bodies. No, he was terrible on Morning Joe. He wasn't good.
He wasn't good.
No,
he wasn't good.
That was him.
I mean, I understand what you're saying, that it kind of sounds like AI, but that's kind of a statement, isn't it? Because AI, for the most part, is not up to the Turing test. So
Right.
it's weird and awkward the way an AI would be.
Right. Exactly. Oh, my God. Yeah, everybody's sitting there still as a stone. There's no shuffling in the room anymore.
That is fucking amazing.
They're just
That is
waiting for
amazing. Almost an hour. I am telling you, man. They're sitting there with an old man who doesn't know what's going on around him and wondering how they can pull this off. That's what's happening backstage right now. Can we really put this man in front of the press corps right now?
Remember the Denzel Washington movie Flight, where he plays the alcoholic pilot who was drunk while flying a plane, and one of the stewardesses got killed in some turbulence? Yeah, he's an alcoholic pilot, and he gets sober because he has to testify in what happened in this accident that he was a part of because he was flying a plane under the influence. And so he's sober, but then fate would have it, he gets access to a minibar in his hotel room the night before the conference, and the conference is in the ballroom of the hotel. And he gives in to temptation, and he just gets totally wasted, and he wakes up just totally wrecked. And they bring in John Goodman, who's like the fixer, like the Pulp Fiction, like the Harvey Keitel in Pulp Fiction. They bring him in to try and get him ready for the conference downstairs so he could testify. That could be what's going on.
I've never heard of this movie.
It's called Flight. Yes,
It sounds good.
It's an interesting movie. I mean, it's a little bit, it has a little bit of a made-for-TV movie kind of feel to it, but it's entertaining. It's entertaining. And given everything going on with, like, Boeing now, you might find it strangely topical. But they bring in John Goodman because he wakes up all fucked up, and they have to get him ready for his testimony under oath, where he can't look like a drunk. And so, they bring him in, they give him all the drugs and makeup, and that could be what they're doing now. Just kidding. Joke. I mean, they could be telling him, all right, here's script B, the dropout script. Maybe they're waiting for Harris to get there. Hey, Kamala, come over here. He's gonna endorse you now. And
he is clearly in no condition to do a press conference. So how else do you interpret this? You're his handlers. You've been put in this impossible situation. What do? They've been getting away with who knows what's going to come out years from now about. Everyone jokes about it, but I honestly believe they've given him drugs over the years to get him through these things, and there's just not enough brain left for the drugs to work on anymore. So what do you do? What do? How do you put this guy in a press conference?
I mean, what other conclusion do you draw at this point? What? I mean, what is the explanation? Shakespearean actor Strand in Tonight, Kevin Spacey.
I believe he's another one with like real acting chops who can handle classical on stage.
Well, yeah. Well, he was the artistic director.
Well, he came out of Juilliard.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, he's a trained guy for sure. He's done a ton of theater.
No. Honestly, the reason I didn't do that Mad Mac project, I mean, I certainly had the facilities and the people to do it. That was why. I was like, the actors aren't good enough, man. I'd have to get a bunch of Brits. I don't have access to 15 British people to do Macbeth.
Right. Like an ep of Scooby-Doo, Biden takes off his skin mask and says to the press, and I would have gotten away with it if it weren't for you meddling press. Thank you. Matt, this is unbelievable. He's going to be a full hour late. A full hour? All right. Looks like someone's coming out to the podium. It's not Biden. It is somebody, though. Someone's at the podium on AP. Thanks, Jake. Thanks for the heads up.
Don't take the brown acid.
Yeah. Any insight on the recipe they use for the drug cocktail, and does he take it intravenously, orally, or other? Yeah, well, that's a level of detail we are not privy to, my friend. Emailed you guys the perfect sound drop for if Boeing execs ever stand trial. Oh, thank you, Josh. We'll take a look at that. Brambinski, if they really want him gone, they can do it. Up to this point, they've barely turned the screws. I mean, I think, look, man, I mean, all the reporting today is that the insiders, his inner circle, thinks he's got to drop out. So this is not going to happen. I mean,
yeah, you're starting to get leaks from his campaign staff.
Yeah. I mean, this is already a disaster. He already called Zelensky Putin. And he's an hour late to a press conference that was already pushed back an hour to start with. I mean, it's not salvageable. It just seems like it's not salvageable.
You know, some smart people were saying once he actually has to campaign for real, it's not going to go well for him.
Okay, Jake says they cut the background music, so it should be starting. All right, we're going to put it on the White House feed here. Okay, the President of the United States. They're introducing him on the AP.
Distinguished guests,
There he is.
the President of the United States, Joe Biden.
How are we volume-wise? You can hear that, Russell? Everybody good?
I hear it.
Beautiful.
Wow.
Thank you. Please be seated. Well, good evening. We just concluded this year's NATO summit, and the consensus among the members was it was a great success. It was especially momentous because it represented the 75th year of the most important military defense alliance in the world's history of the world. We should never forget that NATO grew out of the wreckage of World War II.
Turn up the volume a little.
Most destructive war in history.
It's maxed out.
The idea was to create an alliance that would commit themselves
Let's turn our
to a
volumes, our
compact
mics
of
down a little
collective
bit.
defense. Standing together, they knew we'd all be safer. An attack on one would be treated as an attack on all. And it's worked because a would-be aggressor knows if they attack one of us, they'll be attacked by all of us. Sending that message is the best way to deter aggression and prevent wars in the first place. For those who thought NATO's time had passed, they got a rude awakening when Putin invaded Ukraine. Some of the oldest and deepest fears in Europe roared back to life because once again, a murderous madman was on the march. But this time, no one cowered in appeasement, especially the United States. We collected intelligence that Russia was planning to invade Ukraine months before the invasion. I directed the intelligence community to be a significant amount of intelligence be declassified so I could start building an international coalition to oppose the invasion. Then in February, some of you remember, I warned the world that the invasion was imminent. I rallied a coalition of 50 nations from Europe to Asia to help Ukraine defend itself. Many foreign policy experts thought as Putin amassed Russian forces just 100 miles north of Kyiv, the capital of Ukraine, but Putin thought it was the mother home of Russia. The capital would fall in less than a week. But the Ukrainian people, backed by a coalition to help build, stopped them. Today, Kyiv still stands, and NATO stands stronger than it has ever been. During the week of this summit, several heads of states made it a point in their statements to thank the United States and to thank me personally for all that NATO has achieved.
I didn't know Frank Knowles does sign language.
NATO is bigger because we led the charge to bring in Finland and Sweden into the alliance. And it makes a gigantic difference. Excuse me. Meanwhile, my predecessor has made it clear he has no commitment to NATO. He's made it clear that he would feel no obligation to honor Article 5. He's already told Putin, and I quote, "Do whatever the hell you want." In fact, the day after Putin invaded Ukraine, here's what he said. It was genius. It was wonderful. Some of you forgot that, but that's exactly what he said. But I made it clear, a strong NATO is essential to American security.
I mean, obviously no one gives a
And
shit
I
about
believe
this.
the obligation of Article 5 is sacred.
It's sad to go with a
And I
warm-up.
remind all Americans, Article 5 is invoked only once in NATO's long history.
Should have had
And that was to defend America after
Jesse Jet
9/11.
come out and do some music.
I made it clear that I will not bow down to Putin. I will not walk away from Ukraine. I will keep NATO strong. That's exactly what we did and exactly what we'll continue to do. Now, the future of American policy is up to the American people. This is much more than a political question. It's more than that. It's a national security issue. Don't reduce this to the usual testament that people talk about, issues of being a political campaign. It's far too important. It's about the world we live in for decades to come. Every American must ask herself or himself, is the world safer with NATO? Are you safer? Is your family safer?
Yeah, I feel safer, yeah.
I believe the American people
much
know.
safer.
The answer to all those questions is yes. And
The
I
Russians
believe
are going to take our
the
base.
American people understand that America is stronger because of our alliances. I believe the American consensus from Truman to Reagan to me still holds today. America cannot retreat from the world. We must lead the world. We're an indispensable nation, as Madeleine Albright wrote. Now let me turn to three other key issues. Just this morning, we had a great economic report showing inflation is down. Overall prices fell last month. Core inflation is the lowest it's been in 3 years. Prices are falling for cars, appliances, and airfares. Grocery prices have fallen since the start of the year.
And what's
We're
going
gonna
up,
keep
Joe?
working to take down corporate greed to bring those prices down further.
It's not going to mention that part.
Meanwhile, Trump's calling for a 10% tariff on everything Americans buy, including food from overseas, vegetables, and other necessities. And economists tell us that would cost the average American working family another $2,500 a year. It's a tax of $2,500 a year. Second, our efforts to secure the border, southern border, is working. After Trump killed the bipartisan effort to secure the border, Republicans and Democrats had worked on, because he thought it would benefit me and make him a loser, Republicans walked away. So I took executive action last month. As a consequence, working with Mexico,
they've surrendered to the communists.
Have gone down over 50%. The current level is lower today than when Trump left office. Third, for months, the United States has been working to secure a ceasefire in Gaza, to bring the hostages home, to create a path for peace and stability in the Middle East. 6 weeks ago, I laid out a detailed plan in writing. It was endorsed by the UN Security Council, the G7. That framework is now agreed on by both Israel and Hamas. So I sent my team to the region to hammer out the details. These are difficult, complex issues. There's still gaps to close, but we're making progress.
You're
the
such
trend
a
is
fantastic
positive.
moron.
And I'm determined to get this deal done and bring an end to this war, which should end now. Let me conclude where I began. We're the United States of America. We are the indispensable nation.
Conclude.
Our leadership matters.
Spoke for 3.5
Our
minutes.
partnerships matter. This
Good
moment
night,
matters.
Cleveland.
We must
He
rise to
doesn't
meet
take
it.
questions. Just
With
leaves.
that, I'll take your questions. I've been given a list of people to call on here. Reuters, Jeff Mason.
Oh, so they did it this way.
Mr. President, your political future has hung over the NATO summit a little bit this week. Speaker Pelosi made a point of suggesting that your decision on whether to stay in the race was still open. George Clooney and a handful of lawmakers have called on you to step aside. Reuters is reporting tonight that UAW leadership is concerned about your ability to win.
UAW just endorsed me, but go ahead.
Thank you. My question for you is, how are you incorporating these developments into your decision to stay? And separately, what concerns do you have about Vice President Harris's ability to beat Donald Trump if she were at the top of the ticket?
Look, I wouldn't have picked Vice President Trump to be vice president,
Good.
but I think she's not qualified to be president.
Great.
So let's start there. Number one.
Vice President Trump.
The fact is that
Like the second he's off the cuff,
the consideration is that I think I'm the most qualified person to run for president. I beat him once, and I will beat him again. Secondly, the idea, I served in the Senate a long time. The idea that senators and congressmen running for office worry about the ticket is not unusual. And I might add, there are at least 5 presidents running or incumbent presidents who had lower numbers than I have now, later in the campaign. So there's a long way to go in this campaign. And so I'm just going to keep moving. And because, look, I got more work to do. We got more work to finish. There's so much, we made so much progress. Think about it. Think about where we are economically relative to the rest of the world. Name me a world leader who wouldn't want to trade places with our economy. We've created over 800,000 manufacturing jobs, 1.5 million jobs. I mean, so things are moving. We got more to go. Working class people still need help. Corporate greed is still at large. Their prices, the corporate profits have doubled since the pandemic. They're coming down. And so I'm optimistic about where things are going.
Who was president during that time? Oh.
Danny Kemp, AFP.
Thanks. Thank you, Mr. President. I wanted to ask you about you mixed up Presidents Zelensky and Putin earlier today. And you now have sort of your key allies, including the British Prime Minister, the President of France, the German Chancellor having to step in and make excuses for you on that. And officials here are saying off the record that your decline has become noticeable. Hasn't this now, frankly, become damaging for America's standing in the world? Thank you.
Did you see any damage to our standing in my leading this conference? Have you seen a more successful conference? What do you think? And the Putin piece, I was talking about Putin, and I said, and now, at the very end, I said, Putin. I said, no, I'm sorry, Zelensky.
Right.
And then I added 5 other names. Look, guys, the idea anybody suggests that we haven't had an incredibly successful conference. How many times did you hear in that conference, I don't know if it sounds too self-serving, but other leaders, heads of state, in thanking me, saying the reason we're together is because of Biden, because Biden did the following. Look, folks, this is, well, anyway, I thought it was the most successful conference I've attended in a long time, and find me a world leader who didn't think it was.
He's a poet, warrior in the classic
Nancy
sense.
Cordes, CBS.
Thank you, Mr. President. You mentioned other instances in history where presidents have faced a challenge, but what makes this moment in history so unique is that it is not your enemies who are calling on you to reconsider your decision to stay in the race. It's your friends, supporters, people who think you've done a great job over the past 4 years. Have you spent time thinking about what it would mean for your legacy, which you've worked decades to build, if you stay in the race, despite the concerns that voters say they have, and you lose to someone who you yourself have argued is unfit to return to the Oval Office?
Well, look, I'm not in this for my legacy. I'm in this to complete the job I started. As you recall, understandably, many of you and many economists thought my initial initiatives that I put forward, can't do that, it's going to cause inflation, things are going to skyrocket, the debt's going to go up. What are you hearing now from mainstream economists? 16 economic Nobel laureates said I've done a hell of a job. That under my plans so far and what's going to happen in the future if I'm reelected, that things are going to get much better. Our economy is growing. I was determined when I got elected to stop the trickle-down economic theory, that if the wealthy did very well, everybody else would do well. My dad was a well-read, decent guy. I don't remember much trickling down on his kitchen table. Middle-class people and working-class people need help. And so what happened is I decided to was able to implement as president what I believed when I was a senator. And that is that the way to build this economy is from the middle out and the bottom up. That way we grow the economy. And the wealthy still do very well. They do fine. And guess what? Find me an economist, a mainstream economist who said we haven't done well. What have we not done that isn't working right now? And so we got more to do, though. We got to finish the job. And by the way, I come from the corporate state of the world. Delaware has more corporations registered in Delaware than every other state in the nation combined. I'm not anti-corporate, but corporate profits have doubled since the pandemic. Doubled. It's time things get back in order a little bit. It's time, for example, if I'm reelected, we're going to make sure that rents are kept at 5% increase of corporate rents for apartments and the like and homes are limited to 5%. We're going to make a lot of changes that I've been talking about because we're going to continue to grow this economy. And by the way, I know, remember how I got so roundly criticized for being so pro-union, not labor, union. Well, guess what? I've been the most pro-union labor president in history. Not a joke. And guess what? We had the Treasury Department do a study.
Yeah, just ask the railroad workers.
When unions do better, everybody does better. Everybody does better. And we talk about how, for example, remember when we talked about getting the computer chip industry back in the United States? Used to be 40% of the industry. We invented the chip. 40% of the industry was in the United States. And former presidents decided that the best way to do it is find the cheapest labor in the world, send the product over there and import what the product was. And so what did I do? I was told not to go over to Europe, to Asia, including Europe, but Asia. And I remember going to South Korea, convincing them to invest $20 billion in the United States to build computer chip factories. And I asked why when they finally decided to do it. And the answer was because you have the safest economy in the world and you have the best workers in the world. So the whole idea here is we've invested, there's over $50 billion in investment in computer chip manufacturing just coming in the bean. None of you thought that would happen. None of you thought that would happen. But it's happening. It's happening. And it's going to grow economies. All through, and by the way, red states and blue states. Matter of fact, there's as much in red states as blue states. I've made no distinction. So my generic point is that the idea that we can't continue to build and grow the economy, make it fairer. And like I said, from my standpoint, when the middle class does well, that's when the whole economy grows. The poor have a shot, the wealthy do well.
Okay, so very clearly a run out the clock kind of situation. Just keep talking.
Your Vice President Kamala Harris would be ready to serve on day one. Can you elaborate on that? What is it about her attributes and her accomplishments over the last 4 years that make her ready to serve on day one if necessary?
First of all, the way she's handled the issue of freedom of women's bodies to have control over their bodies. Secondly, her ability to handle almost any issue on the board. This was a hell of a prosecutor. She was a first-rate person, and in the Senate, she was really good. I wouldn't have picked her unless I thought she was qualified to be president. From the very beginning.
You picked her for the exact opposite reason. So they wouldn't force you out.
She is qualified to be president. That's why I picked her. Felicia Schwartz, Financial Times.
Thank you, Mr. President. Presidency is the most straining job in the world, and it's 24/7. How can you say you'll be up for that next year, in 2 years, in 4 years, given the limits you've acknowledged that you have today?
The limits I've acknowledged I have?
Yeah, like you're good from 10 to 4.
There's been reporting that you've acknowledged that you need to go to bed earlier and your evening around 8.
That's not true. Look.
Oh, so now he's going to throw the staff under the bus.
What I said was, instead of my every day starting at 7 and going to bed at midnight, it'd be smarter for me to pace myself a little more.
The ASL guy
And I said,
out.
for example, the 8, 7, 6 stuff. Instead of starting a fundraiser at 9 o'clock, start at 8 o'clock. People get to go home by 10 o'clock. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about. And if you looked at my schedule since I made that stupid mistake in the campaign, in the debate, I mean, my schedule has been full bore. I've done, where's Trump been? Riding around in his golf cart, filling out his scorecard before he hits the ball?
Well, why would he do anything else?
Look, he's done virtually nothing.
Why would he?
And I have, I don't know how many.
He has been doing rallies.
Roughly 20 major events. Some with thousands of people showing up. And so I just think it's better. I always have an inclination, whether I was playing sports or doing politics, just to keep going, not stop. I just got to just pace myself a little more. Pace myself. And the next debate, I'm not going to be traveling into 15 time zones.
There's not going to be a next
week
debate.
Before.
You're not getting another debate.
Anyway, that's what it was about.
That was 2 weeks.
That's what it was about. And by the way, even with that, I love my staff, but they add things all the time. Very
See, they're not going to like that.
I'm catching hell from my wife for that. Anyway.
Yeah, that's great. It's nice. Throw your staff under the bus.
I'm sorry.
The staff.
Zeke Miller, Associated Press.
Thank you, Mr. President. 2 questions for you. First, on the NATO summit, President Zelensky, in your meeting with him, he pressed you to lift your limitations on the Ukrainian use of American weapons, saying that, in his public remarks afterwards, saying that Ukraine cannot win the war unless those limitations are lifted. Are you reconsidering your position on that? And then secondly, following up on Felicia's question there, leaders of your own party have said that they're not worried about that debate. They're worried about the next bad night and the bad night after that. How can you reassure the American people that you are up to the task and that there won't be more bad nights at a debate stage or somewhere else?
First thing about Zelensky asking for the ability to strike deep into Russia. We've allowed Zelensky to use American weapons in the near term and the near or abroad into Russia. Whether or not he should be attacked. For example, should Zelensky, he's not. If he had the capacity to strike Moscow, strike the Kremlin, would that make sense? It wouldn't. The question is, what's the best use of the weaponry he has, and the weaponry we're getting to him? I've gotten a more long-range capacity, as well as defensive capacity. And so our military is where I'm following the advice of my commander-in-chief, the chief of staff of the military, as well as the Secretary of Defense and our intelligence people. And we're making a day-to-day basis on what they should and shouldn't go, how far they should go in. That's a logical thing to do. Second question related to
bad nights, sir. How can you reassure the American people that you won't have more bad nights, whether they be on a debate stage or it's a matter of foreign policy?
Well, I tell you what, the best way to assure them is the way I assure myself. And that is, am I getting the job done? Am I getting the job done? Can you name me somebody who's gotten more major piece of legislation passed in 3.5 years? I created 2,000 jobs just last week. So if I slow down, I can't get the job done. That's a sign that I shouldn't be doing it. But there's no indication of that yet. None. What do we got here? Merrick, Pulaski Radio.
Thank you, Mr. President. How are you?
I'm well.
The elections in the US have consequences around the world. You have pretty high standing in Europe. I just asked President Macron about you, and he said we are happy to have him as the President of the United States. But there is a concern. Many people in Poland and across Europe are worried that the former president may win the election. And there's a lot of concern that Donald Trump may weaken NATO, stop supporting Ukraine, or push Ukraine to give up territories to Russia.
They're correct.
And
you mean do stuff the
yourself
American
was
people
warning
want?
just 2 minutes ago about it. So my question is, do you think that Europe will be left on its own if Donald Trump wins the election? And what's your advice to European leaders to prepare for possible US disengagement?
Well, look, I think, how can I say this without sounding too self-serving?
I don't think you really need to worry about sounding too self-serving. I think if there's time to gas yourself up, it's probably now.
Joe, don't run. What I hear them say is, you've got to win. You can't let this guy come forward. He'd be disaster.
Well, you know, I think we could confirm the hallucination symptom of Parkinson's.
I think he said in one of his rallies, don't hold me to this, recently, where NATO, I just learned about NATO or something to that effect. Foreign policy has never been his strong point. And he seems to have an affinity to people who are authoritarian. That worries, as I tell you from Poland, that worries Europe. That worries Poland. And nobody, including the people of Poland, think that if he wins in Ukraine, he's going to stop in Ukraine, that that's going to be the end of it. And so what I can say is, I think I'm the best qualified person to do the job, to make sure that Ukraine does not fall, that Ukraine succeeds, that the European alliance stays strong. You may recall, no one was talking about Finland joining NATO. I remember talking to Putin right after we got elected in Geneva, and he was talking about what we should do. We couldn't be in Eastern Europe, et cetera. And I said, you're looking for the Finlandization of Ukraine, because you're going to get the NATOization of Finland. And about 4 weeks later, I got a call. No, that's not true. Probably 5 months later, from the president of Finland, could he come and see me? Because in my office, I invited him to the Oval Office. We sat down and talked. He said he wanted to join NATO. Could I help? And I did. It wasn't automatic. And then I got a call from the Swedes. I beg your pardon? And so Finland joined NATO. 800-mile border is a significant, and they were already allies, but they weren't part of NATO. And you heard, I think you heard, maybe, I can't recall whether he said it publicly in our closed meeting, but he wouldn't mind it being repeated. He said, we decided in Finland, the people of Finland decided they had to be part of NATO. It was in our interest because of the joint ability to be together, to dissuade any attack on Finland. And the same thing with Sweden. It took a lot of selling to some folks, particularly in Turkey and other places, to agree to the expansion. But it expanded. And we're a hell of a lot stronger because of it. We're more secure because of it. And by the way, I was able to get 50 other nations, 50, to support Ukraine. 50. And we're able to bring about a coalition of Europe and Asia, Japan and South Korea. I just met we talked about AUKUS, and we talked about the relationship between Australia, New Zealand, Japan, South Korea, the United States. We're making the world safer and stronger because we have to deal with the new arrangement that exists in the world. The Cold War is over. The post-war era is over. What is going to replace it? And I respectfully suggest I have a pretty good idea what that should be. I've convinced a lot of people to follow it. and we're just going to get stronger. David Sanger. Where's it?
Coming up on 27 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Be nice, David.
Mr. President, the NATO declaration that was issued yesterday was very notable because it described China as a decisive enabler of the war in Ukraine for its provision of critical goods to the Russians. That's part of a broader partnership that seems to have cemented in place in the past 2 or 3 years. I think one that you were a little bit doubtful of when we asked you about it some time ago. So I'd be interested to know whether you have a strategy now of trying to interrupt the partnership between China and Russia, and whether or not in a second term you would pursue that, if you could describe that strategy to us. And along the way, could you also tell us whether you think, just to follow up on Felicia's question, that if you were in a room with Vladimir Putin again, the way you were 3 years ago, or with President Xi, that a few years from now you will be able to go negotiate with them, handle them one-on-one?
Well, the first part of the question is, we discussed and I raised in the NATO summit, and others raised, the future of China's involvement, what they're going to do, what they're doing with Russia in terms of accommodating, facilitating them. They're getting access to additional. They're not supplying weapons themselves. They're supplying mechanisms for them to be able to get weapons. And China's position is basically, and I've spent more time with Xi Jinping than any world leader has. Over 90 hours since being vice president all the way through, for real. And by the way, I handed all my notes. But my point is that Xi believes that China is a large enough market that they can entice any country, including European countries, to invest there in return for commitments from Europe to do A, B, C, or D, or not to do certain things. What's happened is we had a long discussion about what we have to make clear. China has to understand that if they are supplying Russia with information and capacity, along with working with North Korea and others to help Russia in armament, that they're not going to benefit economically as a consequence of that by getting the kind of investment they're looking for. And so, for example, we're in a situation where, and we've reestablished direct contact with China after that, remember the balloon, quote unquote, going down, and all of a sudden things came to an end? Well, we set up a new mechanism. There's a direct line between Xi and me, and our military has direct access to one another, and they contact one another when we have problems. The issue is that we have to make sure that Xi understands there's a price to pay for undercutting both the Pacific Basin as well as Europe, and as it relates to Russia and dealing with Ukraine. And so for example, if you want to invest in China, as you know this area really well, you want to invest in China, you have to have a 51% Chinese owner. You have to make sure that you do by their rules, and you don't have the authority, and that you have to provide all access to all the data and information you have. There was a while there, as you recall, the last administration and other administrations, where the access to that market was enticing enough to get companies to come in because they had access to over 1 billion people in a market, not 1 billion, but a lot of people in the market. And so they were doing it. But that got curtailed when we started saying we're going to play by the same rules. For example, the idea they don't abide by the international rules related to subsidizing products by the government funding. So guess what? They're not going to be able to export their electric vehicles to the United States without a significant tariff. Others are doing the same thing around the world. But it is a concern. It is a concern that you have both China, North Korea, Russia, Iran, countries that are not necessarily coordinated in the past, looking to figure out how they can have impact.
Do you have a strategy to interrupt that impact?
Yes, I do, but I'm not prepared to talk about the detail of it in public. And I think you'll see that some of our European friends are going to be curtailing their investment in Russia. In China, as long as China continues to have this indirect help to Russia in terms of being able to help their economy as well as help them in as a consequence of that their ability to fight in Ukraine. The other thing that we talked a lot about is that, and I raised it, and I didn't hear any. I can't swear that everyone agreed because not everyone got to talk about it. But we need a new industrial policy in the West. For example, we talked about how both the EU as well as NATO has to be able to begin to build their own munition capacity, has to be able to generate their own capacity to provide for weapons and the ability to, it came as a surprise to some of us how we had fallen behind in the West in terms of the ability to construct new material, new weaponry, new everything from vehicles to weapon systems. And so one of the things that came out of this was we're going to be meeting again with a number of my colleagues, my European colleagues, is what do we do to increase the capacity of the West, particularly in Europe and Japan, to be able to generate the kind of ability to produce their own weapon systems. Not just for themselves, but to be able to generate that.
That is what we really need from an industrial policy.
That's what Russia's trying to figure out.
We don't have enough weapons in the West.
And they didn't get the weapons, but then they went to North Korea. But we're going to be in a position where the West is going to become the industrial base for the ability to have all the defensive weapons that we need. That was a discussion as well.
New industrial policy. He said vehicles once. He said weapons
to go deal
about 8
with
times.
Putin and Xi 2 or 3 years from now.
They're in
I'm ready to
demand.
deal with them now and 3 years from now. Look,
It's after 4, man. Come on.
Like I said, I'm dealing with Xi right now and direct contact with him. I have no good reason to talk to Putin right now. There's not much that he is prepared to do in terms of accommodating any change in his behavior. And but there isn't any world leader I'm not prepared to deal with. But I understand that a generic point is Putin ready to talk? I'm not ready to talk to Putin unless Putin's ready to change his behavior. And the idea, look, Putin's got a problem. First of all, in this war that he is supposedly have won, and by the way, I think, don't hold me to the exact number, but I think Russia had 17.3% of Ukraine that they've conquered. Now it's 17.4. I mean, in terms of percentage of territory. They've not been very successful. They've caused horrible damage, loss of life, but they've also lost over 350,000 troops, military, killed or wounded. They have over 1 million people, particularly young people with technical capability, leaving Russia because they see no future there. They've got a problem. But what they do have control of is they are very good at controlling and running the public outcry that relates to how they use mechanisms to communicate with people. They lie like hell through the constituencies. They lie like hell about what's going on. And And so the idea that we're going to be able to fundamentally change Russia in the near term is not likely. But one thing for certain, if we allow Russia to succeed in Ukraine, they're not stopping in Ukraine. I recommend, I know you know this because you've written about it, read Putin's speech after they moved in, what it was all about in Kyiv. It wasn't about just, anyway, read what his objective is. And anyway, but so I think that I'm prepared to talk to any leader who wants to talk, including if Putin called me and wanted to talk. Last time I talked to Putin was trying to get him to work on an arms control agreement related to nuclear weapons in space. That didn't go very far. So my point is, I'm prepared to talk to anybody, but I don't see any inclination. There is an inclination on the part of the Chinese to keep in contact with me, because they're not sure where this all goes. And look what's happened in Asia. We have strengthened the Asian Pacific area more than anyone else has. We just put together with, today I asked our NATO allies that we bring on the group from the South Pacific, Australia, New Zealand, Japan, Australia. I already mentioned Australia. And I met twice now, I think, with the 14 leaders of the Pacific Island nations. And we've slowed down what's going on there. We've slowed down China's reach. But there's a lot of work to do. This is a moving target, and I don't take it lightly. Assam from NPR.
All right, they're keeping them out there, man.
Keeping them out there.
Thank you, Mr. President. Asma Khalid with NPR. I have two questions. Earlier, you spoke about the ceasefire plan between Israel and Hamas. We're now looking at 10 months of war, and I'm curious if there's anything that you feel personally you wish you would have done differently over the course of the war. And then secondly, if I may, I wanted to ask you about your presidential campaign. I remember covering your campaign in 2020, and there was a moment where you referred to yourself as a, quote, bridge candidacy, a transition to a younger generation of leaders. I want to understand what changed.
Two things. Let's go back to when you talked about would I have changed anything that's happening with Israel and the Palestinians and the Palestinian movement. The answer is, as you recall, from the very beginning, I went to Israel, but I also got immediate contact with al-Sisi in Egypt. I met with the King of Jordan. I met with most of the Arab leaders to try to get a consensus going as to what had to be done to deal with getting more aid and food and medicine into the Gaza Strip. And we pushed it really hard. And Israel occasionally was less than cooperative, number one. The Israeli War Cabinet, I've been dealing with Israel since Golda Meir. Some of the reporters around here cover me all the time have heard me say this. The first time I met with Golda Meir, I sat across from her at her desk, and her assistant was Rabin sitting next to me. That's how far back I go. I know Israel well, and I support Israel. But this war cabinet is one of the most conservative war cabinets in the history of Israel. And there's no ultimate answer other than a two-state solution here. And so what was able to be done in terms of the plan I put together was it would be a process for a two-state solution. And we get the Arab nations to, particularly from Egypt all the way to Saudi Arabia, to be in a position where they would cooperate in the transition so that they could keep the peace in Gaza without Israeli forces staying in Gaza. The question has been from the beginning, what's the day after in Gaza? And the day after in Gaza has to be, the end of the day after has to be no occupation by Israel on the Gaza Strip, as well as the ability for us to get in and out as rapidly as you can, all that's needed there. I've been disappointed that some of the things that I've put forward have not succeeded as well, like the port we attached from Cyprus. I was hopeful that would be more successful.
Yeah, they're abandoning
But
that.
Yeah, that's
that's
done. So
why
I think they got, what, 6
when I
days out
went
of
to
that.
Israel immediately after the massacres that occurred at the hands of Hamas, the one thing I said to the Israelis, and I met with the War Cabinet and with Bibi, don't make the same mistake America made after bin Laden. There's no need to occupy anywhere. Go after the people who did the job.
Oh, is that right?
You may recall, I still get criticized for it,
the whole
but I
Israeli
was
state
totally
is an
opposed to the
occupation.
occupation
Yeah, the whole thing is an
and trying to unite Afghanistan. Once we got bin Laden,
500-pound
we should have
bombs
moved on
for Israel.
because it was not in our. No one's ever going to unite that country. I've been over every inch of that, not every inch, the entirety from the poppy fields all the way to the north. I said, don't make the same mistake we made. Don't think that's what you should be doing, is doubling down. We'll help you find the bad guys, Sinwar and company. And all this criticism about I wouldn't provide when the weapons they needed. I'm not providing them 2,000-pound bombs. They cannot be used in Gaza or any populated area without causing great human tragedy and damage. But remember what happened when you had the attack on Israel with rockets and ballistic missiles. I was able to unite the Arab nations as well as Europe, and nothing happened. Nothing got hurt. It sent an incredible lesson to what was going on from the Middle East. So there's a lot of things that, in retrospect, I wish I had been able to convince the Israelis to do. But the bottom line is we have a chance now. It's time to end this war. Doesn't mean walk away from going after Sinwar and Hamas. And if you notice, you know better than most, there is a growing dissatisfaction on the West Bank from the Palestinians about Hamas. Hamas is not popular now. And so there's a lot of moving parts. I just have to keep moving to make sure that we get as much done as we can toward a ceasefire, and get those. And by the way, look at the numbers in Israel. I mean, my numbers are better in Israel than they are here. But then again, they're better than a lot of other people here too. But anyway.
Bridge candidacy in 2020. You referred to yourself as being a bridge candidate for a younger, fresher generation of Democratic leaders, and I wanted to know what changed.
What changed was the gravity of the situation I inherited in terms of the economy, our foreign policy, and domestic division. And I think, I won't put words in anybody's mouth, most presidential historians give me credit for having accomplished more than most any president since Johnson and maybe before that to get major pieces of legislation passed. And what I realized was my long time in the Senate had equipped me to have the wisdom to know how to deal with the Congress to get things done. We got more major legislation passed that no one thought would happen.
Patriot Act.
And I want to finish it, to get that finished. If tomorrow, if we had a circumstance where there was a lineup and I hadn't inherited what I did and we just moved things along, anyway, it's going to change.
Last question.
Haley Bull, Scripps. Or no, Josh Weingrove, I'm sorry, was the next one. I'll do 2 more questions.
Cracker ass, cracker, I'll put my foot in the cracker ass, cracker ass, cracker.
Many of your colleagues, Democrats on the Hill, are watching tonight as they assess what they want to say about your candidacy. I'm wondering how you're thinking of this right now. It seems like your answer is clear, but they're watching how things go tonight, tomorrow in Michigan, next week in Texas and Nevada. Are you thinking that way about how the next week or 2 goes would inform you?
Am I using that way, you say?
Are you thinking that way about how the next 2 weeks go? Will that affect your decision, or are you fully determined on running in November as the party's nominee?
I'm determined on running, but I think it's important that I lay fears by let them see me out there. let me see them out. You know, for the longest time it was, you know, Biden's not prepared to sit with us unscripted. Biden's not prepared to, you know, anyway. And so what I'm doing is, and I've been doing, I think we've done over 20 major events, from Wisconsin to North Carolina to, anyway, to demonstrate that I'm going out in the areas where we think we can win, where we can persuade people to move our way, or people are already there. And here, look, the other thing is, we have the most extensive campaign organization of anybody's had in a long, long time. We have well over 1,000 volunteers knocking on doors, making phone calls, making tens of thousands of phone calls. We have headquarters, I forget exactly how many, I want to cite a number and then find out I'm off, but we have scores of headquarters in all the toss-up states. We're organized, we're moving, and that's awful hard to replace in the near term. And so, and here's the other thing. I was in the Senate a long time. Very proud of what I've done in the Senate. I was chairman of the Foreign Relations Committee for a long time, and I was chairman or ranking member and chairman of the Judiciary Committee. I'm going to be going down to the Johnson Library. Anyway, I'm going to be going around making the case of the things that I think we have to finish and how we can't afford to lose what we've done or backslide on civil rights, civil liberties, women's rights. There's that little button we have. Control guns, not girls. I mean, the idea we're sitting around, this is where Kamala's so good as well. We're sitting around.
We got to put that in the merch
children are killed by a bullet than any other cause of death. The United States of America. What the hell are we doing? What are we doing? We got a candidate saying, promised the NRA, don't worry, I'm not going to do anything. I'm not going to do anything. We got a Supreme Court that is what you might call the most conservative court in American history. This is ridiculous. There's so much we can do still.
Yes, I think so.
I'm determined to get it done. It's about freedom.
I'm confident.
And by the way, I'll end this. Well, I'm not going to do that. Haley has to come up too. But I remember I made a speech on democracy in Philadelphia at Independence Hall. And I'm not being critical, just observing. The bulk of the press, what the hell is he talking about that for? Democracy. You did. Democracy's not an issue. Democracy's not an issue. Except the polling data showed 60% of the people knew I was right, thought I was right. I'm not asking you a question. You don't have to answer, obviously. But do you think our democracy is under siege based on this court? Do you think democracy is under siege based on Project 2025? Do you think he means what he says when he says he's going to do away with the civil service, eliminate the Department of Education, make sure, I mean, we've never been here before. And that's the other reason why you say hand off to another generation. I've got to finish this job. I've got to finish this job because there's so much at stake.
We've had some discussions over the past few days with your press secretary about the question of health exams. And you said you take a cognitive test every day in this job. Are you open to taking another physical or test before the election? Governor Whitmer of Michigan, for instance, said it wouldn't hurt to take a test.
Well, look, two things. One, I've taken 3 significant and intense neurological exams by a neurologist. In each case, as recently as February. And they say I'm in good shape, okay? Although I do have a little problem with my left foot because it's not as sensitive because I broke my foot and didn't wear the boot. But I'm good. I'm tested every single day about my neurological capacity to do decisions I make every day. You talk to my staff, all of you talk to my staff. Sometimes my staff talks a lot.
The ones
but
that are
the fact of the matter
need
is,
to get out of the race.
I don't think you have them telling you that all the major ideas we've undertaken haven't been in part initiated by me. I remember with the staff, I said, I'm going to go to South Korea. We're going to get the chip. What are you doing? I'm going to get Japan and Korea back together again after essentially having hostilities toward one another since the end of World War II. I'm going to move and see that we can expand it. You know, the only thing age does is help you with it. Creates a little bit of wisdom if you pay attention.
Yeah, that's all.
And so the point I'm making is, I think it's important that if the neurologist tells me he thinks I need another exam, and by the way, I've laid every bit of the record out. Hadn't hidden a thing. You ought to ask Trump for his, okay? I laid it all out. And every single day I'm surrounded by good docs. If they think there's a problem, I promise you, or even if they don't think it's a problem, they think I should have a neurological exam again, I'll do it. But no one's suggesting that to me now. And I'll ask you another question. No matter what I did, no one's going to be satisfied. Did you have 7 docs? Did you have 2? Who'd you have? Did you do this? How many times did you? So I am not opposed if my doctors tell me I should have another neurological exam, I'll do it. But that's where I am. Haley Bull, Scripps.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Coming
You said you're
up on
making
an hour.
decisions on a day-to-day basis when it comes to support for Ukraine. Does that mean you have not closed the door on further considering lifting restrictions for U.S.-made weapons inside Russia? And if I may, your convention is coming up where your delegates are pledged to make you the official nominee. If they have second thoughts, are they free to vote their conscience?
Obviously, they're free to do whatever they want, but I get overwhelming support. Overwhelming support. I won, I forget how many votes I won in the primary. Overwhelming. And so tomorrow, if all of a sudden I show up at the convention, everybody says, we want somebody else, that's the democratic process. It's not going to happen.
Even if that means they vote for someone else?
Sure. Look, I'll end this with this. I served in the Senate a long time. I understand the impetus of candidates running for local office and whether they think the top if they can help them or not. In my state of Delaware, which was a very, at least a purple, it was a red state when I started, in terms of we now talk red and blue. I don't recall most of the Democratic presidents winning my state when I was a candidate. The truth of the matter is I understand the self-interest of every candidate. If they think that, running with Biden at the top is going to hurt them, then they're going to run away. I get it. But so far, go and look at the polling data in their states. Look at the in-depth, and by the way, I think you'd all acknowledge, and you're all experts. I'm not being solicitous about the president. You're experts on this stuff. How accurate does anybody think the polls are these days? I can give you a series of polls where you have likely voters, me versus Trump, where I win all the time. When the unlikely voters vote, he wins sometimes.
Yeah, that's not true.
The bottom line is all the polling data right now, which I think is premature because the campaign really hasn't even started.
Yes, it has.
I mean, it
You had a
hasn't started
debate.
in earnest yet. Most of the time, it doesn't start till after September, after Labor Day.
It's
So,
not 1882
A lot
anymore.
can happen.
Yeah.
But I think I'm the best I believe I'm the best qualified to govern. And I think I'm the best qualified to win. But there are other people who could beat Trump too. But it's awful start from scratch. And, we talk about, money raised. We're not doing bad. We got about $220 million in the bank. We're doing
Get your hand
well.
out of my pocket!
So, with that, you have any want to follow up on any of that you just asked me?
Yes.
That is shitting
You
themselves now.
earlier explained confidence
Don't follow
in your
up, Jeff.
vice
Don't follow
president.
up.
Yes.
If your team came back and showed you data that she would fare better against former President Donald Trump, would you reconsider your decision to stay in the race?
No, unless they came back and said, there's no way you can win. Me.
what they're going to do.
No one's saying that.
They are saying that. They are saying that. They just started saying that to the
This
press.
ends tonight's press conference.
Here we go.
Thanks,
Here we go.
everybody.
What's he going to do now?
This concludes.
Respectfully, earlier you misspoke in your opening answer. You referred to Vice President Harris as Vice President Trump. Right now, Donald Trump is using that to mock your age and your memory. How do you combat that criticism from tonight?
Listen to him.
This concludes tonight's press conference. Thank you, everybody. Thanks, everyone.
Oh,
I was
Thank
small.
you for joining. Thank you for joining. That's right.
I'm convinced.
They will
I'm
rally,
convinced.
stand up, be American.
All right, this is going to be the first time with this. Let's see if this works. I didn't check it before.
There we go. Look.
All right.
Yeah, he added the 6 in there. We are at 6601 and then 2003. So we are at 8605 in total. Everybody, please hit that like button. Please hit that subscribe button. All right, I guess we should do our take, right? We should do our clip take. I guess we got to do that now, right? All right, so we're going to have to get a little clip going, and then we'll take the rest of our Super Chats and Rumble Rants. All right, so we just saw Joe Biden's make or break press conference, and I think it was neither a make nor break. I think in a certain sense that makes the headaches worse inside the party and inside the campaign, because he was not good enough to turn the momentum around, but he was not bad enough to the point where he'll be out tomorrow. So now this goes into next week, and now you see the reports from today where you have Biden's inner circle. His aides are saying there's no path. Huffington Post reported that, citing the New York Times reporting. You have his inner circle saying the writing is on the wall, but he didn't give you anything tonight that forces him out of the race tomorrow. So this now goes through the weekend, and you're going to see a lot of shuffling around this weekend. You're going to see a lot of panic. What do we do? Because now the clock is really ticking. The Republican convention is next week. And then the Democrats do plan on nominating Joe Biden virtually early in advance of their convention. So they are now running out of time. This did not deliver a knockout blow to the point where he's going to be out within 24 hours. I think he is in through the weekend. I have said that the party elites are trying not to chime in. Barack Obama would love to get out of this without chiming in. So would Hakeem Jeffries, so would Pelosi, so would Schumer, Clyburn, same thing. I think this forces their hand. You know, you have Biden's staff now saying he can't win, saying we need somebody else. George Clooney in his op-ed said that all of the insiders he talked to, all of them, without exception, felt he should drop out, even the ones who are not saying it publicly.
Right.
If Biden melted down tonight, they'd have gotten out of this probably without having to open their mouth. He'd probably be out tomorrow or over the weekend. Since this wasn't an absolute disaster, he makes it through the weekend, and it now falls to the party leadership to make their voice known if they want him out. I suspect they will. I think he will be out of this race soon, because I do think it is going to come to that, and I do think they're going to do it. And I think he's going to have no choice but to listen. You even saw in that last answer a slight hedge from this is a closed matter to, well, if they show me I can't win, I'll step down. And yes, we have other people who can also beat Trump. I just think I'm the best. He did create a little window to step out, and I think now that this press conference came and went without a complete meltdown, and yes, there were the sound bites, obviously, before the press conference, introducing Zelensky as Putin, and then right off the bat, the Vice President Trump gaffe. There's going to be a little bit of sound that gets tweeted around and things like that, but you didn't have a debate-style meltdown. That extends his timeline a little bit and puts the pressure on the insiders and the real power players to just say publicly he has to go. I suspect they will do that, and I suspect he will listen to them. But this press conference definitely extended the timeline further, bought him a few days, and creates now a few days of real stress and real chaos and real turmoil at the upper echelons of the Democratic Party.
All right. So I keep saying this, and I'm not saying you're wrong. This crazy bastard is going to hold on with his fingernails and just refuse to go. So the real question is, what does it take for Joe Biden, with his Nixonian resentments about class, about being looked down on, about not going to the right schools, on top of having half his brain gone, but the resentment, the core resentment still remaining within his fogged mental state. What does it take? He is the president. He does have these committed delegates. As we know, the Democratic voter base are not the sharpest knives in the drawer. What he's saying about support, I mean, it's true. Look at from a couple days ago, that Axios article, I think it's accurate. They were saying within the full conference of Congress when they met, most of them were still standing behind Biden. I don't think that's not true. Now, certainly, I'm sure it's shifted because some people like Pelosi are kind of signaling they might want to move away from Biden. But what do you do if you have a completely unsuitable president who, because of your own rigging of your own primaries, has the nomination locked up, nobody with any significant delegates outside of him, and he just refuses to go? He just will not step down. What do? Do they go 25th Amendment? Are they able to release Biden's delegates, or does he have to do that?
He said they were free to vote for who they want. Now, I don't know that that's. I didn't think
I
it
don't
worked
know
that
that
way.
that's
I think
official.
That,
just
I think
saying
those are pledged delegates. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So I'm not sure about the internal processes there, but I've said from the beginning their path to getting him to step away is through the family. And because they are carnies, if you offer them something good enough, they could change their minds. But clearly right now, they are as determined to hold that office as he is. And they just seem to have cultivated this bunker mentality. It's us against the elites, which, as the congressman pointed out, we covered that today. Those are the same elites that installed him. He didn't mind them then.
Right. Yeah. No, it definitely creates a tense weekend. Because the results of this were very much inconclusive, which there were a lot of party insiders who, according to reports, were hoping for a meltdown so that it would be settled.
Right. Sure. Of
right?
course.
Exactly.
Of course.
They were hoping for a meltdown so they could get him out, because the polls are what they are. The trajectory is locked in. Nothing in this press conference expedited his exit, but none of it turned anything around. I mean, if anything, if you look at the substance of what he was saying, it was psychotic and suicidal, saber rattling and warmongering. Yep. That you have to live in a completely alternate universe to believe what was even backed up by any semblance of
the
reality.
The inflation's great. The economy's
great. Putin's going to lose.
Yep.
Ukraine's going to win. I mean, it's just
and what
insanity.
we really need a new industrial policy for is weapons. We're not making enough weapons in the West.
Yeah.
We need more weapons manufacturing. All of this, see, this is what's crazy. Yeah, he didn't shit the bed, but it's like the Joker says in The Dark Knight. People will accept anything as long as it's according to the plan. But if you look at the plan, it's horrifying. So what's the plan? Endless war. And when he started talking about what Trump would do, end the Ukraine war, like he starts listing off things that most Americans would support.
Of course. And as for Macron, you got to be suicidal
He's going to withdraw from NATO and end the Ukraine war. Where are the Americans who were up in arms against that, other than this very small coterie of elites that is overrepresented in the media.
Yeah. Yeah. No. And as for like Macron's fears about that, I mean, if anything, you would think these European leaders would want Trump, because on the foreign policy front, he's going to be much more peaceful on that front, at least.
Right.
At least as far as far as it concerns them, right? I mean, not overall. I mean, he'll fund a genocide, in Gaza just as fast as Biden will. But in terms of like from France's perspective, I mean, what? He's not going to outlaw abortion in France, right? Like our domestic policy doesn't affect them. NATO policy does. And it's just insane. It's just absolutely insane. But the other thing I do want to add before we wrap this segment is this was not exactly a quote-unquote big boy press conference. He had the list of questioners. Now, if it comes out that he knew those questions in advance, that's going to be a major scandal. I don't know that it will. I don't know that he did know the questions in advance, but he seemed to be prepared with a level of detail.
I doubt it, because they would have been afraid of that leaking.
Probably, because they don't trust the staff with it. But he did have a level of
Or
detail ready to go that was surprising, right? And that's why you could he really drew out the answers a lot, probably so he wouldn't have to take as many questions, right? He really drew out these answers.
I felt like it was
long
also
monologues.
to show, nope, see, my brain's not missing, folks.
Oh yeah. Well, that was also part of it. Sure. No, absolutely. Absolutely. So the verdict is Biden lives to fight another day, and this creates massive headaches over the next few days because this now creates a level of uncertainty that only people in very high places can resolve, right? Now it's going to come down to does the Democratic royalty, does the upper echelon of the party now open their mouths? Do they? They might not. I think they will. I'm not certain they will. I predicted Biden would not be the nominee last year, so I'm moving the ball down the field pretty good now. I'm not going to stop and kick a field goal here. I'm sticking with that. Am I 100% sure? No, but I think much better than 50-50 odds. They will figure out a way to get him out of the race because the fundamentals of the race are unchangeable at this point. He's going down, and he's going to drag not only the House and the Senate with him, but he's going to really sort of exercise the donors from the party. They're not going to be able to raise the kind of money that they would, even with a sure loser like Kamala, because at least with Kamala, you can go through the motions of running a campaign.
Right. Yeah. And they can feel good about themselves.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think that he, without Jill and Hunter pushing him, he is gonna absolutely refuse to step down. For anyone who spent time in the snows of New Hampshire, for any former Bernie bros out there, all I can say is relish this moment. You earned it. This is all their karma coming back to haunt them. This is pushing Bernie out and insisting that Biden was the guy. This is the end result. So take what little pleasure you can in watching them try to squirm out of this.
Yes, I agree with you on that. All right, we're going to take some super chats and Rumble rants and close the lights here. We did an impromptu doubleheader today, but thank you all very much for being here. Please hit that like button. Please hit that subscribe button here on YouTube. Hit that follow button over on Rumble as well. We are at 1965 on Rumble. Can we get 34 more and get a $19.99 drop over on Rumble? Hit that like button, please, and thank you. Stephen Sinilis. Thanks for the $4.99. Anyway, well, I digress. I recall my wife. Never mind. That's self-serving. So I'm watching the Redskins game. Oh, I mean the Indians. Yeah, there you go.
Well, I felt like he was instructed, don't do lists. You get lost on lists. So every time he started to do it, he said, well, anyway. Well, never mind.
Right.
Well.
Right. Yes. Dodger 12. This guy's hands down the absolute best. Thank you, Dodger 12. When Biden whispers, I imagine...
if you can't take the truth. This is the best Biden.
F you if you can't take it. This is the best Biden ever.
Best Biden.
When Biden whispers, I imagine seeking out girls with long hair to sniff. Thank you, Kenneth. It was whispery tonight. New York is now a swing state. Yeah, I saw that Politico article. That was one guy saying.
I mean, it's overstating.
It was overstating it.
being 8 points ahead doesn't make it a swing state. It's swingier than ever before in modern times.
It's an indication of where the Democratic Party brand is that New York is 8 points. That's not a swing state. That's what the guy said. That's a quote from that article. And there was an exaggeration. But the fact that they are running single-digit margins in New York is an indication that the brand of the party has tanked and that they're going to have a very difficult time winning in places like Michigan and Pennsylvania, Wisconsin.
Listen, I've always said we've talked about this a lot, both being from New York. New York is the phrase Democrats are the gayer Republicans. No place does that apply more than it does to New York. I have always said if the Republicans became more gay friendly and dropped their stance on abortion, New York would be as red as Alabama.
Yeah, it is a Rockefeller Republican state. You do malarkey, you lose delegate. I just remembered that meme from 2020. LOL, I love yous, twos, Jews. Thank you, Hump678. Appreciate that. That's very kind of you. Ken Texican, thanks for the $20. That's very kind of you. 25th Amendment now. 25th Amendment now.
Thank you, Ken.
I don't know if the Republicans would go for that. I think the Republicans want him in the race. They might not go for that, right?
I don't even know how that works in terms of the process.
In terms of
procedurally,
voting, who invokes it? Do you need a majority? What kind of majority? Sign language dude was lighting my ass up. Thank you, Bradley Bacon. Appreciate that. Thanks for the $20. President Biden and his VP Trump 2024. Thank you, Derek. Stephanie Nicholson, thanks for the $1. Appreciate that. £1.
That would be quite the unity ticket.
That would be the big unity ticket. Big takeaway from press conference is that people hate on ASL interpreters too much. Hate on ASL interpreters too much. Thank you, Teg Durr. Appreciate that.
They're like the people who couldn't get employment as a mime.
Yeah, right. Exactly. War. Americans want war because our economy is strong and divest in China because our manufacturing base is there. Thank you, Stephen. Appreciate that.
That was about the size of it.
We had a couple of questions that came in that I told you I'd answer. So someone asked if Kamala is the top of the ticket, who would the VP be? I think they figure that out, as they go. People are saying Buttigieg. I don't think it would be Buttigieg. I don't really have a good guess for that. And then someone asked if we saw Kyle used our video of Richard Dawkins. Yes, we did see that. That was funny.
Oh, that was a while ago. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
I used another one.
No, I think that was it. Unless you used another one, I don't know. I'm assuming it was the Dawkins one. When Obama calls Biden and threatens the 25th, that's when he steps down. I think it's going to take that top brass. I thought they were hoping that they wouldn't need to intervene, but I think they do. JFK, Dodger, thank you. Jenna Debs fan. Jenna Debs. It's been a long day. Gene Debs fan. Thank you. The Tug of War is 2 shows, hours apart, up early, going to bed late. I'm sundowning. The Tug of War, Kamala, Hillary, and Obama. Thank you.
$2 cover charge only, folks.
That's right. They actually said big boy multiple times. Shake my head. Yes, they did. That's how they build this. The big boy press conference.
Wow.
Weapons aren't for law-abiding citizens to defend themselves with. Jack, they're only for a pointless war in Eastern Europe and genocide in Gaza. Fat. Yes, you should be his. You should write his convention speech. Thank you for the super sticker. Zozoto Lewin. Appreciate that.
I mean, this is a crazy year to be going to the convention. I'm really looking forward to whatever freak show they end up producing.
Well, Jimmy has a press pass, so Jimmy can actually get in.
Oh, Jimmy has a press pass?
Yes, to get inside, yes.
See, I don't even have one of those.
Well, maybe. I don't know if there's a way. I don't know if you get a +1.
I mean, I assumed because Kit couldn't get one that I couldn't.
Yeah,
I could try.
You could try.
I could try.
Can't hurt to try. Okay, let's see here. Did you see Code Pink confronting and asking Bernie Sanders questions for the genocide in Gaza, and like the rest of the members of Congress, he ignored and walked away towards the elevator? No, I have not seen that. I have not seen that video. Let's see here. Ken Texican, Jill, Joe, you did so good. It's after 8 o'clock. Good boy, you showed them. And how many lies did Trump tell while you were taking questions? Yeah, Could be her right now. Alrighty, folks, that is our show. We put in more than we thought we were going to. We were expecting Joe to start at 6:30 and end by 7.
I thought it was a 1-hour thing.
Yeah, instead, here we are 2.5 hours later. Thanking you guys very much for being here. Thank you, Jake, very much for being here. Please hit that like button on the way out. Please hit that subscribe button on the way out or that follow button on the way out over on Rumble. I like that. Putin sweating beneath skin-perfect Zelensky mask. How fun did he know? Yeah, exactly. He sniffed him out. We will see you guys back here at 7 p.m. this Sunday. Thank you very much for being here to all our YouTubers. Thank you to all our Super Chatters and our Rumble Ranters. Thank you to Jake in the booth. Big round of applause for Jake before we end the stream. Thanks for helping us out tonight, my friend. We will see you back here all on Sunday. Thank you so much for tonight. Until we see you again, be safe and be well.
Courage.
Please clap.